October is a great month to celebrate ghouls, ghosts, and Halloween. Depending on its location, October 31st is the beginning of the Day of the Dead holiday. In today's video, I'm showcasing part 2 of a 2-part series of how I paint skulls with simple materials. I hope you enjoy it. Just as I did in part 1 of this series, I started off with the base of the skull using a color that I thought was appropriate to add all the colors afterwards that would be painted by brush. This was a pink color that I chose, and unfortunately when I chose this color, I didn't realize that I had bought a gloss finish. The base coat is complete, and now it's off into the sun for drying. The beginning of the top coats includes paints from Liquitex and another brand titled Craftsmart. I start with Craftsmart paints using black as the base color for the eyeballs and the teeth. In the early stage of painting this skull, I don't get too bogged down in the details. I don't get too bogged down in making sure that everything is just perfect as far as the line work, the line weights, etc. Because of this type of paint that I'm using, whether it's the Craftsmart paint or the Liquitex paint, it's going to take me a few times to go over it. Layer over layer over layer because it's so transparent. And what's even worse with this skull in particular is, as I said in the beginning, I used a gloss finish, and unfortunately it created a lot more work for me. Now it's on to the teeth. I find that it's easier to add the white over the black rather than the black over the white. And using a flat brush creates the results that you may be looking for when painting teeth. After all, just a vertical line up and down creates really cool results. As I wait for the first layer of the white paint on the teeth to dry, I decided to start with some color. I'm still using the Craftsmart paint, but along the way I will also use the Liquitex paint. They're kind of like a beginner's series of paints because they don't necessarily have the opacity that you're looking for. So as with the blacks, with the Craftsmart series, I'm going to have to go over these colors several times. By the way, if you happen to be surfing the net or on YouTube and you discover my channel, do me a favor and hit that like button and listen for that notification bell. So it'd be great to click on that, and certainly, most certainly, subscribe if you like the content. And also, feel free to leave a comment. I'll be sure to look at those and perhaps create more content that may be appealing to you. At this stage of the process, I believe the skull is coming along nicely. I'm adding this color of orange on the flowers using the Craftsmart paint, but as I said earlier, I'm going to still go over this color of orange 2 or 3 times. Also, it's important at this stage to pay particular attention where your hands are because some parts of the skull is still drying, and it's important to keep your hands dry, keep your hands out of the paint, and also keep your hands clean from time to time, just in case. You know, painting this skull is a bit of trial and error. When I first painted the base coat, unfortunately, yes, I used a gloss finish with the spray cans, but although it's a gloss finish already on the skull, and I'm going to go over the final product with another clear coat using the Rust-Oleum paints, I think this turns out pretty nice, and in some locations I purposely left some transparent paint just to give it a little depth here and there. But as an artist, you know, it's all about creativity and have the creative freedom to make these sort of mistakes or these little uh-ohs from time to time. You'll find that it's a little bit more gratifying than having everything purposely done and with a very strong expected outcome. This stage in the process can be very tedious because many of the elements that's on the skull are either curved, and in fact most of these elements have a raised surface. So it's important to get around the edges, and certainly to remember that you do have to go back over this color 2, 3, and in fact some locations 5 times. There's no particular reference, theme, or pattern that I'm going by to paint this skull. I'm just painting what I feel is fun to look at, nice colors. It's not to be intentional, it's just what I like to do, and you can paint these any color you want. But for me, my logic was, with the typical male or female skull, and the traditional blue for male, pink for female is the theme I went with. I've seen these skulls painted in all sorts of colors. I've seen them in neon colors, black and white, all sorts of colors that look like a total kaleidoscope of color, if you will. And they all look really, really cool, especially when you put that final coat of gloss paint or clear coat on the skull. They just really pop and stand out. There are all sorts of sizes you can purchase at your local arts and crafts supply store if they have them in stock. Or you can buy some that are already painted if you find those and you rather do that. If you haven't noticed it, from time to time I will take my brush and dip it into a little bit of water to dilute the paints and gives it a little bit smoother consistency. The trade-off is that when you add the water, however, it means that you do have to go back over your colors 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It just depends on the look that you're looking for or going for. Sometimes you may want a matte finish that's opaque. Maybe you want a matte finish that's a little transparent. So a little bit of water goes a long way in the technique and the execution and the final output of what you're going after with your skull. Another round of color and we'll soon be complete with this skull. I'm using the Liquitex Basics to add a few more areas of color with the red, the white, and some blues and purples here and there. But I think it's really coming along nicely. In fact, I think this may be my favorite one with all this color. There's reds, there's blues, there's pinks, yellows, teal, all sorts of arrangements. And it's up to you what colors you want to use in the end. Also, it's important to use what colors you think are nice accents. This is a really cool feature atop the skull with the flowers and the butterfly and a few of the other small flowers that look like marigolds. And it's really when you're getting close to the finish line of this product or anything that you're painting where you can really feel the glory and the fun that you've had along the way. I don't paint something like this every day, and it's more just traditional painting on canvases and such, but from time to time I break away and do some fun stuff like this, as I would suggest that all of you do. Just go out there and have some fun and paint or create whatever you want, because after all, we're in an audience of so many critics and so much criticism. So what? Go out there and do what you want to do and have fun while doing it. Get you some materials, get some fun stuff, and enjoy painting something like this around the season. This final coat is of clear finish by Rust-Oleum. It gives it a really nice sheen and really makes the colors pop. In fact, I had a good time painting this piece. I don't know if I'm going to continue to paint more of these. It was an exercise, as I said, because of the season. But I hope you enjoy it. I hope you got something out of it. And don't be afraid to try something new.